Okay, folks, welcome to this week's Fife Property Update. We're going to go through some of the numbers. I'm going to talk about the properties actually sold in the week, and I'm going to talk about the properties actually we've got coming on in the week as well. So listen out for that through this show. Okay, so this is all about what's driving the weekly property market in Fife itself, and looking at the overall bigger picture, and also how interest rates and inflation affects these property prices, and in the medium to long term, also looking at in the short term as well. So let's dive right into this and talk about the weekly figures. Very encouraging, very, very encouraging, and I'll show you. You can see them right there, right across the Fife area. Now, just to explain to anybody that's watching this for the first time and listening to this for the first time, this is the weekly numbers, according to Rightmove, about the number of properties that have actually been listed for sale on Rightmove against the number of properties have actually been sold on Rightmove in the week beginning the 19th to yesterday, the 25th of March. So a week overall. So this actually gives you a good indication about supply and demand right across the region of Fife. So you can see in there straight away that Cooper came on with 11 properties, 8 actually sold in the week. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean to say it's the same properties, but what I'm saying is there's not an over or under supply as such in the market itself overall in the Fife area. East Neuk 4 came on, 6 actually sold. So, you know, there's a classic example of demand outstripping supply. St Andrews 9 came on, 7 actually sold. Leadmouth 6 came on, 8 sold. So again, a lot of demand in the Leadmouth area in that week. Dunfermline 49 versus 49, so stable market. Even Stevens, Glenrothes 13 versus 12, again stable again. Kirkcaldy 18 versus 24 sold. So overall, 110 properties were actually listed in the week, 114 actually sold. So demand is slightly outstripping supply. Now, we had this exact same example last week as well, where demand was outstripping supply, and the week before that it was similar as well. So my question then is, are we due for another boom? So I think that's the most important thing we have to think of and look at these statistics in order to understand where the market is and if that is the case. So we're going to talk about in a minute some of the properties we actually sold in the week, and that'll give you a good indication about where people are actually still thinking, how demand is still going. But I'm quickly going to talk about one of the shows that we did yesterday. So Perry and I did a show yesterday called Moving for Schools. Now, the blog and the podcast and the video, the show, is actually online here. So it's on this post. You can just click on the link. It takes you through to our website, and you can listen to the podcast, you can watch the show, or you can just read the blog. The blog is literally just about 4 minutes long to read. It has actually 5 different main points in there. And it's about getting your timing right for your home search and sale and your children's new start in the new school. If you're moving areas to get into the new school. By the way, if you're moving schools and you're changing a job or you're changing a career or you're moving to a completely different area, now is the time you should be doing it, because by the time you've sold your house and by the time the conveyancing process is over, you'll be hitting the summer holidays, because you're only looking at the beginning of April coming up soon. So you've got April, May. Typically there's 2 months to sell a property, so April and May, and then the conveyancing is 3 months, June, July, August. We're back at school. So if you're looking to do that, you need to do it now, sooner rather than later. And then manage the sale through the process. So if it does go quick, then fair enough, you can manage the sale and get a longer entry date. That's all you need to do. If you want it to go quicker, you can pull the entry date forward so you can do all your work during the summer holidays. So this is all about securing your preferred place of school. It is also preparing and supporting your children through that process, getting your timing right, which is just what I briefly talked about right there, and how to park slow but unpark fast. So it makes it really stress-free in that process. And discovering your new neighbourhood, that's really important about discovering your new neighbourhood and getting your children involved in that as well, because then that makes it more acceptable to them, the move itself. So hopefully anybody out there that needs that, or you know anybody out there that needs that, tag them in this post or send this post to them on a private message, and they'll know about that. They'll be able to read the article. Anyway, let's talk about what was actually sold in the week. We're going to look at the numbers on Zoopla as well, by the way. So what's sold in the week from us? Let's quickly go through that. I'll talk about the UK house prices in a minute. So we are on to here. Let's look at the first one. Okay, this is River View. Now, this was a 6-bedroom detached house in Kirkcaldy, originally built by a company, actually. Beautiful home inside, really top quality inside. Now, that actually took a wee while to sell because the seller wanted the right price point for it, so he was happy to wait, even though we had several offers from before. One other person actually missed out on this property, and this was listed offers over 420,000. So if you've got a similar property like this in Kirkcaldy, then that's probably kind of about the value you could be looking for at a 6-bedroom detached house built by Campion. The next one here is Rowland Street in St Monans. Now, this took a wee bit longer to sell, and this was a 2-bedroom end terrace house, and this was listed at offers over 150,000. So if you've got a property like that, it's about 150,000 for these types of properties in the St Monans area. High Street, Pitlessie. This is a cracking house inside. See this front door here. It's got if I remember, it's got a stag and etched into the window in the front door. It's got a beautiful garden actually at the back, and also it's got off-street parking in that garage to the side. So it's a cracking property inside, but it's sold. So I'm not trying to sell it to you. I'm just telling you these types of properties are actually in demand. High Street in Pitlessie. It took a wee bit longer than usual again. The average time to sell, as I said, 6-bedroom detached house. It was listed offers over £275,000. So that's what these types of properties go for in the Pitlessie area. Grunsmithson and Stirring and Crail. This was sold from social media. So sold from social media, never actually made it to a website at all. We got an offer the seller couldn't refuse, all the conditions met, it was prime. So as soon as it hit social media, this is why I can't impress so much on everybody out there. Even though you think the market's cooling, and even though you get the impression that there's no more demand than what you have, if you're still looking for a house, you need to be in there. You need to be in it to win it, and if you're not fast, you're last, basically. Because we know a lot of people was interested in this house, and this sold from social media before anything else. So this is a 2-bedroom semi-detached bungalow, amazing views over the front, and it was listed on offers over 300,000. And the new owners are actually delighted with this home. It's got beautiful views, and it sits just on about 1.5 miles outside Crail itself, just off the St Andrews Road. So this 300,000 offers over 300,000, 2-bedroom semi-detached, and this was the property itself. So this sold from social media before anything else. And surprise, surprise, next door was basically a plot of land. This was originally a farmhouse which had had a fire. It was a shell, but I tell you what, it will be refurbed to a real high standard. It did have planning permission in the front to make another two levels here with concertina Juliet balconies. You can just imagine that concertina windows just open right up top to bottom, and you've got this beautiful Juliet balcony looking right over with these amazing views. That was over 175,000 for this shell of a property and land with the planning permission. And again, that will be refurbished to a real high standard, I would expect. So again, sold from social media. You've got to be quick. You've got to make. Now, how could you make sure you actually see a property before it actually gets to a website? Follow the estate agent's Facebook page, because as soon as they put a post on, you get a notification, and make sure your notifications are on for Facebook, by the way. You get a notification at the something has actually been listed on their Facebook page, and that's how you do it. Also, as well, register with an estate agent in the area that you're looking for. It sells the type of property you're looking for, and make sure you don't let go and you phone them every other day, because you're in their mind then. So when they do go out to something that's similar to what you want, they will think of you first. The wheel, it squeaks the loudest, gets the most oil. Hopefully you understand that comment and what that means. In other words, the person that keeps going on about it will be at the forefront of the other person's mind. Therefore, they'll think of them first when that type of property comes up for you. So, wheel that squeaks the loudest gets the most oil. Keep at your estate agent every other day. How did you get on? You've been out tenning so far. What have you seen so far? And when something comes on, it does match your criteria, you will probably be first in line. That's how you get a heads up before it gets to social media and before it gets on a website. So you're way before everybody else. These actually sold almost off market before they even, it was probably the pre-portal that went on and then they were gone. literally like that. So that's why it's important to make sure you plug yourself into the system and you follow the estate agent's page or their Facebook page about where they are. Don't rely on people telling you. It just doesn't happen. And if you want that dream home, you still have to fight for it with everybody else, because there is still demand out there. Interest rates and base rates, maybe base rates have gone up to 4.25%, but interest rates on mortgages are still at a comparable, competitive level, if not coming down slightly still, in order to be competitive. And you think to yourself, how is that possible? The base rates are so high. How could you get a 5-year fixed rate deal under 4% still? Well, it's because the swap rates between the banks is a lot less because of the stability in the economy created by, the impression round the world by how the budget's been done, how the chancellors propose things. So the stability is, and it less risk to the banks. Therefore, they lend to each other at lower rates. Therefore, you get the lower rates passed on to you. Unfortunately, for existing mortgage holders like myself, they put the rates up and they just add it on. But you can swap and you can go to another deal. There is actually the ones out there. There is offset mortgages. So Virgin actually do offset mortgages right now, which means if you've got savings and you're not getting a good return on it, and you take your mortgage to this offset mortgage, you put your savings into that connected account with Virgin, and they will offset that amount against your mortgage. So if your mortgage is 100,000, for example, your savings are 50,000, therefore they'll only charge you interest on £50,000 on your mortgage if you have that 50,000 in a connected account and savings to your mortgage itself. That's how an offset mortgage works. They don't save you that money though. They don't say you've got to pay less interest. What they do is they take half of, they ask you to pay the full amount, and they take half of that amount, and they actually pay down your capital on your mortgage with that. So you still pay the same amount as you'll pay, but half of that interest goes to pay down the capital because you've got amount in there. Hopefully you understand that. If you don't, and you want a bit more clarification, and you want to speak to a mortgage broker, we've got fantastic mortgage broker, Neil Bird, who will actually be able to help you with that. And all you need to do is message us direct for his contact details. We'll pass them on to you, and you can contact him direct, and we'll get him to contact you direct as well. The final one. Let's talk about the final one here. It was sold, and it is sold in 3 days. See the pattern here. We talked about this last week about sold at a closing date, sold in 3 days, sold in 5 days, and that was last week, and we're getting the same thing again this week. This is a pattern of behaviour. It's happening in the property market right now, regardless of what the economic situation is and what everybody tells you in the media. The housing market is very buoyant just now for that reason. This is the prime season in spring to buy and sell houses. It's the perfect season for that, especially for selling, because the sun's out. Lighter nights at night, and you've got people can view day to day rather than having to wait week to week now, because they can go in the evening because the clocks have actually gone forward. Therefore, it's lighter at night, and so the days are longer as a result. So they can view from day to day. So this was Round Cottage in Baldini and Cooper, sold in 3 days. Actually, it was on with another agent. I've just got my notes here. It was on with another agent for 3 months, and we sold it in 3 days when we took it off them. So that was a 3-bedroom cottage with approximately 4 acres of land. It was listed at offers of 350,000, and it was perfect. It went to a couple that wants to downsize. What more could you ask for? So again, showing you good trends here. Let's talk about, I'm going to quickly jump on to here, and I'll talk about coming soon in a minute. Give me 2 seconds. I'll jump on to UK property prices. And I'll talk about coming soon just now, and then we'll round up and we'll round off for the end of this. UK House Price Index, the Scottish House Price Index, and the Fife House Price Index I talked about up until January in the midweek show this week. Now, it was a look at the average house prices and the numbers. I don't listen to the Halifax really. I don't listen to the Nationwide. I just want the facts, the core detail, which is where all the facts are gathered, which is at the Land Registry in Scotland and itself. They get all the house sales collated together. They have all the right information. They don't give you bits and pieces based on what their customers are, because when you're getting the Nationwide and you're getting the Halifax indexes, it's all based on their customers. That's it. That's all they do. They don't have any more information outside of their customer base. And yes, they do have a big customer base, and they can give a good idea of what's going on. However, the house price index, the UK house price index, is the most important one as far as I'm concerned, because it tells you the facts and it tells you the right information. That's why I do a midweek show on this when it comes out every month. So we looked at interestingly, the Fife house prices. I looked at the UK, the Scottish house prices as well. Interestingly enough, year on year, Fife, and I talked about, you can look at it in the show. You can listen to the podcast. You can watch the show as well. It was literally about 30 minutes because I had to go into a wee bit more detail. But year on year, actually, the number of transactions, how the health of the property market is not property prices, but it's the number of transactions. That's the most important thing. So year on year in Fife, in November 2022, because that's when they trace it to just now, there was 603 properties actually sold according to the register. The year before, there was 640 sold. So there's only a slight decrease in the number of properties sold. Overall as well, the number of properties sold was actually quite low in comparison to the rest of the UK. So, and again, to the other year and the period of the other year as well. I'm just looking through some numbers here, yeah. And then the Fife house prices as well, when we come into that, and I'll just quickly look for the Fife house prices here. In Fife, the average house price is just shy of 170,000. So still very, very affordable. I'll show you Zoopla in a minute, actually. This is quite a good one when we show Zoopla here. I'll just jump onto that and show you how very affordable this is in Zoopla. Let's get rid of that and let's jump onto Zoopla. Give you an indication of what's on the market as well in Zoopla. Watch. Now, see this number, 871. That's how many properties are available right across Fife. 871 at this point in time, just at the top left-hand side, just where my marker's moving about here. So you can see that. But if you scroll down, look at these ones. Look at this, a 4-bedroom townhouse in Glenrothes at Ravenswood Drive for offers over 105,000. A 4-bedroom townhouse. Geez, that is good value for money. McKinnon Place in Dunfermline, 300,000. That's a kind of a new build. Previously, 4-bedroom detached houses. 1-bedroom terrace house in High Street in Newborough, 102,000, which is again good for a house in the Newborough area, just outside Perth. Good commuting as well. There's a 3-bedroom semi-detached house in Dunfermline for 165. Wow, for a chalet style. Now, these are the typical styles that you stick them in St Andrews. They're going for 260,000, 100,000 more than that in Dunfermline. You've got a detached bungalow in Kelty, 200,000, 3-bedroom. So if you go through there, there's a Laid Braes, 460,000. That's probably, that could be an HMO. I don't know. You'd have to check that out. So all there, if you look through all the ones recently come on, very, very affordable in terms of the price. There's a 3-bedroom end terrace house in Riggs Place in Cooper for offers over 195. So really, really affordable all the way around. But the most important point there, as I said, is the number of properties are actually still quite restrictive. Between the start of the year, or just before the start of the year, which was over 1,000 properties, it's now gone down by 130. So there's a 10% decline in the number of stock available. So we're getting to the point now where we're actually going to have restrictive stock in Fife to buy. So this is why you need to get your house in the market, get your sale in a position to proceed. Because if your house comes up, you've got no chance of getting it if that's the case. That's the key here. That's the message I need to tell you and get out there to people. So that's where we are right now. Scottish house prices, Fife house prices overall, still very, very affordable in comparison to the average wage. Mortgage rates are still very, very good in terms of prices. You can see the health of the housing market, the number of properties coming on versus the number of properties sold, still quite stable overall. Top end of the market, 500,000 upwards. There's a wee bit more oversupply than there is actually demand for that, obviously, because that's a very, very high price point in comparison to what everybody else deserves, because we've got a limited market in terms of the number of people that can actually afford that. But people from further afield are actually choosing to come and live in Fife. So because it's more affordable, that's one of them. It's easier access to any beaches and Fife coastal paths, and the quality of life is a lot better in terms of in the Fife area than it is in terms of in a big major city where it's quite congested. So that's why people are choosing, and plus the fact that they're releasing a lot of equity because it costs them a fortune for their house in their city. So then when they sell that, they can release all that money, buy a more affordable house, and actually have equity to actually spend and have a better lifestyle for possibly retirement later on. And also maybe have better choices as well. Maybe one of them doesn't want to work anymore. Maybe one wants to work from home. Maybe the both of them want to work from home, and it makes it easier because they can do remote working. So again, more affordable. And that's why people choose Fife for that reason. Finally, a quick one. Oh, I've not talked about what's coming on. Everybody's listening out for that. I was about to finish. Okay, so Fairfield Road in Collinsborough. 3-bedroom semi-detached house is coming on. So if you're looking for Collinsborough area, 3-bedroom semi-detached house in Fairfield Road in Collinsborough, be quick. Register with us now. Get on the phone tomorrow first thing, or even get on the phone now, just leave a message, or even message us direct, or send us an email on info@fifeproperties.co.uk, and you'll just say you're interested in this house, Fairfield Road in Collinsborough, 3-bedroom semi-detached house. We have another one, 4th Street in St Monans, 3-bedroom semi-detached house as well. We have another one at Fairfield Road in Collinsborough, another one, 3-bedroom semi-detached house. Park Drive in Leven, 2-bedroom terraced house, and a property in Arncroch. Wait till you see this one. This is absolutely mint inside in Arncroch. It's a 3-bedroom detached cottage. It has absolutely beautiful views over the countryside. You can see, I was sitting at the back when I was there a couple of weeks ago, and I was just actually listening to the sheep in the next field. It's just so idyllic and so brilliant. So watch out for that one as well. If you're interested, again, if you're interested in these properties, register with us now, contact us now. Get yourself first in line, because you know what's happening. The past couple of weeks, sold in 3 days, sold from social media, sold in closing date, all the rest of it. That's what you need to be concerned about. This is what I keep telling everybody every single time. The most important point is to put yourself in a position so you can actually proceed. Just a final one here for what was completed. 4th Street in St Monans with a 2-bedroom terraced house, and that actually sold within a month. And this gives you an idea about what prices are going for. This sold for it only sold for about 5,000 over the home reported value. Now, that paid for some of the fees, which was ideal and perfect, but that gives you an indication about where prices are and what the offers over value is. You're supposed to use round about where people are accepting. Now, that's primarily because all the boom prices have actually, and when people have actually offered a lot more money, has now come through to historical information on the Registers of Scotland House Price Index register. So this has all come through now. So when the surveyors and ourselves go to look at what these properties actually went for, we now have the up-to-date evidence as to what the valuation of the next property is. Hence the reason why all the property prices have realigned up to that point now, with all that historical information coming through, and now it's at the price where everybody's prepared to pay, and it's basically the price that we're prepared to pay during the last 2 years, which has all come through now. That's why you tend to find it's not going for as significantly more than the home report value as you would expect in the last couple of years. So again, be realistic when you get an offer and you're thinking, oh, I could get a lot more than that. You've got to be realistic about where we are right now in terms of the market overall. Now, that's been like this for the last, I would say, 2 or 3 months, actually. So it's not a case of 1 week just makes it 1 week as a trend, or 1 week is an example. It's actually for the last 2 or 3 months has been like this. So there's a solid enough trend there to suggest that, is it? If you get an astronomical offer over the home report value, then you probably need to jump on it as quick as possible, I would say. That's probably the most important point. Also, make sure that one of the things that we've been picking up lately, there's with people that are buying our houses, and we're then saying, well, what position is your buyer in when they've bought your house? And they seem to don't know what their position their buyer is in. So you just need to make sure your estate agent knows to qualify the buyer that's buying your house when they make an offer, and they understand what their position is. So they can actually make a proper offer on yours, and they don't just leave it to the fact that, yeah, they're buying the house, but we'll just wait on them to conclude. Well, are they a cash buyer? Are they needing a mortgage? Have they got a house to sell? And is that house on the market? And how much weeks has it been on the market? Is it sold? Is it under offer? What position are they in? That's what you have to find out. That's the most important point, what you find out, because we're likely to have a lot more chain building. So you understand what chain building is. It means, this person that buys your house is no longer a possibly a cash buyer or in a position to proceed, they have to sell a house to do that. That's why we go out to their house to make sure that we are convinced before you accept an offer that we think their house will sell quite well. That's qualification. So we visit them for that reason, to make sure their house would sell well, so you can have confidence at the fact that your offer that you accept when you present it to you it will go through, rather than actually waiting until the 2 or 3 weeks before the actual transaction is meant to go through and then finding out they've now got their house sold or they've now got their mortgage arranged. So that's the most important point you can ask your estate agents, to make sure you qualify the buyers to see what position they're in. So in order to have confidence that your house sale is going to go through. And that's it. Finally, Wealth Creation Show. Richard and I tomorrow will be talking about the Wealth Creation Show. We will be covering the fantastic subject of how to create wealth in a challenging economy. And we will talk about 13 tips for a financial downturn. So, you know, how to make money during a financial downturn, if that ever does come. But hey ho, it'll still even be perfectly applicable to the current situation as it is right now, even in stability or even in a boom market. So the type of things we're going to talk about tomorrow, Richard and I, in the Wealth Creation Show at 12:30, is the tips for making money, safeguarding your earning sources, enhancing savings, investments, investing in discounted stocks, tracking your net worth, planning your future, your pension contributions, greater passive income, buying investment properties, selling unused stuff. That's another one. Moving into survival mode for some people. It might be out there and thinking, I've not got enough money at the end of the month. I will not survive if the mortgage rates keep going up like this. Well, that's exactly what survival mode is all about, and we'll be talking about that as well. I've been through that, by the way in the early days, in the end of 1980s, 1990s onwards, till I've got my first job, and even in my first job as well. So I've been in survival mode. I completely understand it. I know how to survive it. So we're going to be talking about that as well. So this is a lot based on my own personal experiences about how I was able to do this over the last 30 to 35 years. Also about if you're thinking about buying a business, what that would mean for you and the implications of that. So these are the 13 top tips we're going to be talking about tomorrow on the Wealth Creation Show. Tune into that. We'll be on TikTok, we'll be on Instagram, we'll be on my personal profile, will be on my official profile, public profile. We'll be on our YouTube channel, we'll be on our LinkedIn channel, we'll be on a Twitter channel as well. So we'll be on all these different formats. So you will be able to see this at 12:30. And I think there's more information on this post about where to see the show tomorrow at 12:30 for how to survive or create a wealth in a challenging economy. That's it, folks. Thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate your time and effort for tuning in, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye for now.